Welcome in, Ruthless Racing Nation. This is another Thursday night of action-packed Ruthless Racing Series action. As I said action multiple times in that sentence, but I am sick and on a little bit of Robitussin, so bear with me this evening. But the Ruthless 8 playoffs will be going through Indianapolis this evening. We've seen them take on Atlanta last week with Typical just extending his points. And with that being said, I believe Typical and Hollywood are the only two locked in into the round of 6, which will be happening or starting next week. As for season 1, I need to look for the playoff standings, as I'm not sure where they're at. Here we go. We got Typical in first in the championship hunt, followed by Hollywood, Bad Martin, Dan the Man, Shepard, and Jared. And then the cut line will be Yeti and Travis down there. So 35 points separate Jared, Yeti, and Travis. And Yeti and Travis need to both move on. With Jared not being here, it'll be interesting to see how that works out. But nonetheless, thanks to all of you that are here this evening. If you haven't liked the stream, please do so. Hello to everyone. PH, Redneck Jesus, thank you all for coming. Got Yeti out here in the chat. Empire Gaming, thank you for stopping by. See how some people have returned. But we will be taking on Indianapolis whenever I get that join message, as I just got my invites. This will be 80 laps at the Brickyard to determine who will move on to the Ruthless 6, as we'll see who gets into that Ruthless Championship towards the end of the year. But we're getting ready to get to the action. As always, thanks to you all who come over here. Thanks to Skew Car for always promoting us here at Ruthless Racing and the Ruthless Racing Series. And check out that description to save some deals. The holidays are just around the corner. And you could buy somebody a humble bundle or maybe even some tickets if it's your first purchase on SeatGeek. Save $20 by using code SKEWCAR at checkout. I'm just waiting for that join message, as we already got our invites for this evening. But we're going to take on to Indianapolis tonight here in week 13 of the Ruthless Racing Series, the last race of the round of 8. 35 points between Jared, Yeti, and Travis to get on to the next round. Jared not going to be here, so no points to be awarded to him. I do believe we're going to get in just on time here on the stream this evening. Got Trav Nation in here. But he's out there racing this evening. But after this week, we're going to be going to Talladega. So if y'all want to see some restrictor plate racing, that'll be happening right here next Thursday, same time, same bad channel, the Ruthless Racing channel. But enough of that, as we're about to get to the action right here. The last race of the round of 8. Which of the Ruthless 8 will move on to the round of 6 to try to continue their quest for a Ruthless Championship? But with the Typical pole leader in Typical, pun intended, he will take off here at Indianapolis on this Thursday evening to do no more than just gain some more points, as him and Hollywood starting out there out front have nothing to gain, as they will be going on to the round of 6. As for the rest of these guys, some of these guys mathematically probably locked in just due to the point spread. Jared not being here is going to be very critical to his playoff run as it continues. Yeti and Travis need all the points they can get, basically battling against each other to see if they can gain more than 35 points. 36 points would probably move them on. Unless Jared gains. Oh, one hard in the back there to the pit wall. Not quite sure who that was. It's Trav Nation hard into that wall off turn number 4. Unfortunate event for him. It looks like Anxious Yeti had a start towards the back this evening and has found himself working up the field here. Got a skew car in the house indeed. Got Janet in here. Thank you for joining. Another part of Trav Nation stopping by this evening. As he does bring in the numbers. Sticky Roundhouse, you've seen their animal in this 38 car going around this evening. And there's Typical still in the lead. We'll see if this field can keep up with him this evening. 24 laps here in stage number 1. And there will be a pit stop. So we'll see how that works out. There's no caution there on the issue with Travis, as that was only one car incident. Amanda Deaton, April Lake. Got a lot of Travis fans in the house this evening. He did not lie. He said he was going to bring in the action. And here they are. They're showing up neck deep. Hollywood hard on the chase of Typical. He's got help from 2 other racers there, of Bad Martin and Death Before Dishonor, as you would think that the 3-car train would catch up to Typical here. But we're going to be in for it tonight as long as Typical doesn't try to run off with this thing. I think the pit stops will also be... Oh, Typical messing up as soon as I start talking about him. I've been really good at these commentators' curses. If you're not new to the stream, you know about any time I start talking about somebody, they absolutely just implode. Now Hollywood out to this lead with 4 of Bad Martin pushing really tight up against that bumper. 3 of Typical only drops back to 3rd, and he'll have Death Before Dishonor on the back of his bumper. And we've got Shepard there running and rounding up the top 5. Yes, PH also jinxed Typical. So it wasn't just me that time. Chat had him this time too. Hollywood, one of those not really needing a whole lot of points. Martin would enjoy a win, I'm sure of it. Death Before Dishonor entered late, and just more of a filler car here right now. Death Before Dishonor, a very strong competitor out here on NASCAR Heat 5. Is a great addition to our league. I hope that he stays around. And that's somebody you would have definitely seen in these playoffs this year, with even a possibility of a win or 2 next to their name. Death Before Dishonor there in that 5 Chevrolet. As you can kind of see, we're going to get a little double action here going into turn number 1. Bad Martin and Typical try to work with each other to get around the 16. Little bit of door action there, almost 3 wide. 5 thinks better of it. Good action off the nose of that 5 there through turn number 1. As they come out of 2, it is still tight necked. A couple of loose cars there. Death Before Dishonor moving up the track now, as Bad Martin has stretched out that lead based on all the swirliness going on behind them there. Outside line's very hard to maintain coming through those entrance turns, as I like to call them, such as 1 and 2, or 1 and 3. Sorry. yeah, we just jinxing this whole race, you know. Got the back part of the pack here racing. G-Dog kind of stuck in a bubble. Bad Martin, now your leader. And he's got that strong group of 3 cars behind him. Typical has shifted himself back up to 2nd, looking to take that lead sometime within the next couple of laps, I'm sure. 7 of 24 laps right now in stage number 1, as we are in for an 80-lap spectacle here on the Ruthless Racing YouTube channel. And this is the round of 8 for the Ruthless playoffs, and the Ruthless 8 as I've been tagging them. This is going to be to see who of 8, let's see who of the 6 out of the 8 will make it to the next round. Jennifer Peters, thank you for stopping by. Another part of Trav Nation showing out this evening. Yeti Nation kind of been on the sleep lately. As I do appreciate every single one of you who are watching. Please, if you don't mind, like the stream. If you've not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Up to 325 subscribers last I checked. Super proud of that. Never thought we'd even get past 150, and here we are, doubled that and going. And thanks to Skew Car and all of his nation. And we've got a lot of action going on as I was trying to get onto the YouTube and watch with you all. As Pad Martin runs out of the lead there. I can't tell you exactly what happened as I wasn't necessarily looking, but it's on there. It's on the stream. And that is allowed for Typical to get right back out there where he was. A little bit of door-to-door action back there. Hollywood and Shepherd. Hollywood coming back with, I don't know, possible vengeance. Or maybe just a little bit of looseness there. It seems like tonight we've gained 2 more subscribers, so thanks to you that have done that. It's greatly appreciated. Every subscribe, like, and view is helping us just achieve more and more of what we like to do here on Ruthless Racing and in the Ruthless Racing series. I'm trying to jump around a little bit here, get a little more action on board tonight. Dan the Man there, 34, strong competitor this season. Just finds himself right outside the top 5 right now. Trav Nation, after that hard crash earlier, finds himself running around the back. And there is Project 62. As you can see, they're off the pack quite a bit. Sticky Renthouse kind of by himself as well, along with Animal. And there's your leader, Typical, with Death Before Dishonor right behind them here. Thank you, Tanya, for coming through. This is stage number 1 with 14 laps remaining. Typical in first, Death Before Dishonor, Bad Martin, Dan the Man, and Hollywood in your top 5. In stage number 1. As I do believe a pit stop will be in order. When guys start to take those will be interesting. As we are at 11 out of 24 right now. As I would imagine, most guys will be pitting within the next 5 laps. At some point, there will be some cars coming in, if some haven't already. As you can see, this battle for the lead tighten up between the 3 and the 5 of Typical and Death Before Dishonor. Thanks to everybody who's stopping by. If you haven't liked, please like the stream. Subscribe if you haven't done so. Comment and let us know who pointed you this direction to watch us here this evening on YouTube. And as always, your view is appreciated. We do have some slow traffic already this evening, up ahead of the leaders here. This battle is tight. Seems like the only battle on the track at the moment. A couple of these guys back here are racing each other. And it is a battle for the top 5 as Shepherd just outside in 6th. Dan the Man worked himself up to 4th now. As always, thanks to you guys watching. It's truly appreciated. I believe this is our second most watched stream thus far, and this is coming from the Brickyard. As you can see, lap traffic starting to make a little noise here for the leaders. Gives Death that inside preference on the turn, but the more grip's going to go to Typical right now as they'll line back up nose to tail. So Animal there kind of got them spread out a little bit. As Typical as was rumored to be the strongest car in the field at this track this week, and it seems to be the case most times with Typical in that 3 car here in the Ruthless Racing Series. But I believe tonight something is going to get that 3 car, and I can't tell you quite what it'll be. It could even be that pit road, but something is going to get that 3 car this evening, and I think we're going to have us a new winner. Or we might have a new guy get his second win. But it all depends on what happens here this evening. You're right, Typical is typically good. And thanks to Typical 30 on YouTube, exactly how you see it written on there. Not the MFF, but just Typical 30 on YouTube for Ruthless Radio, as that's how I get the lap counts and stuff like that while watching the race. Starting to see those pit stops taking effect now, as these guys still have not pit. Oh, we got a couple coming out real wonky there. That's awesome. We'll catch that right there on stream. That is not actually happening on the track. That just looks like it is happening to us. And here's those leaders, though. They have not pit yet, and that has got to happen soon. Empire Gaming, awesome. Trav brings in a lot of people. Glad that he has persuaded another to come through. Death Before Dishonor off the wall hard out of 3. Retains it for 2, and I believe he's going to probably opt for the pits this time. Nope, he's going to try to stay out there off the wall once again. He's trying to stay in the air, that 3, to make it. He's trying to make it competitive here after the pit stop. These guys are all behind them a lap down, but they're going to gain their lap back as soon as they go back into the pit. So it's going to be tight-knit for these leaders staying out like this. Don't know if anybody took the risky move of right sides only. This is something that you could possibly get away with here in stage number 1. 17 out of 24 laps so far. And it has been a good race to this point. Tight between the 3 and the 5, all up until the 5 getting into the wall there last turn, and turn number 3. Anxious Yeti spins again going into the pit, according to Anxious Yeti. But he is in 4th position at the moment. A lap down due to the 3 not pitting yet. Bad Martin gains his lap back on 2nd position. Going to look and try to unlap himself before they even pit. And that could possibly spell not 1st position for someone like Typical if Bad Martin is able to consistently run laps out here this evening. Project Spin. That's right. So we'll see whenever these guys decide to go pit, and it won't be this time, as they really won't have to pit, I don't think, until around 8 to go, possibly, if they're going to run these dry. So Actually, we got 6 remaining here in the stage, so I guess fuel lasts a little longer than I remembered. But nonetheless, they will have to pit to make it. So possibly no tires here for some of these guys. Death Before Dishonor possibly going into the pits this time. So hopefully that's something to keep an eye on there. Typical should pit this time, you would think. Not 100% sure if he will be, though. And he will. Kind of dives in there late. Good pits, though, here by these two guys. And everybody's going to gain their laps back right now, as we're going to jump over to Bad Martin and see how this is going to work out. So right now he is going to be, I guess, what you would consider third position. And when he comes around, I believe he will be in first position. It's going to be close. Typical going to have that speed later on. So we'll see how those tires make a difference. Look like Typical just took right sides and some fuel. Hollywood was actually in third position. So we'll try to find him, see where he's at. Got him racing off pit road pretty hard. Is Hollywood going to be able to do it? I don't think he's going to be able to catch him. Not this time around. If Hollywood took some fresher tires, took 4 tires, he may have the advantage on these right sides. As I got to get back up here to the leaders, as Death Before Dishonor has took the lead from Typical at the moment. As we'll see how this works out whenever we get around to the end here in stage number 1. And so that 5 trailing behind that 3 all stage pretty much in the back half of this stage. With 4 remaining, he has the lead. We'll see if he's able to hang on to it as they make these last 4 laps. Thanks to everybody who's watching. 16 currently. Please like, comment, subscribe if you haven't done so. Hit the bell if you're here for Trav. He said hit the bell so y'all won't miss any of this action whenever he's out on the track. Typical looks to oversend it there, coming out of 3 as they go back into 4 this time. Death Before Dishonor still your leader, and we'll see if he's able to hang on to it and get his first Ruthless Racing stage win. Death Before Dishonor does have a strong car here at Indy with 3 laps remaining. Can he do it? And we got Hollywood just 4 seconds off these guys up here. As you can see, that's Trav Nation there, just off the rear of these 2 guys. Had a very unfortunate incident earlier on in the race. Nearly the first lap, I believe. And we'll see how Typical is setting up his move for later on. Death Before Dishonor has Typical looking to the inside, and he has the momentum for now. Can he beat him down into turn number 1 and take the lead? And he will do so, but can he hang on to it coming out of the exit? Crossover from the 5 coming in hot. He's going to have the inside momentum coming around out of 2. Can he keep it on going on down the backstretch with this side draft? Trav Nation has the option to go help somebody here. Not necessarily doing so. More lap traffic coming up, and he's just going to take it to the wall. He should have stayed out there. It would have been interesting. So 47, Sticky Renhouse just darts it out of the way there. And Typical is going to take the lead here with 2 to go at the line. And that tire not looking too good for Typical right now. So we'll see if he's able to hang on to it to the end. inside lane again for the 5. Let's see if he's able to hang on to it. Not going to be able to. Has to drop back behind. Trav Nation's still right there, a lapped car. So we'll see if Death has it. There'll be 1 to go at the line. Figured Death might have a little better tire, but I'm not entirely sure, as they probably both did the same thing. This is the final lap of the stage. I apologize. As looking like Typical might be able to get this one. It looks strong all stage. Did not lead every lap, as Hollywood was up front there earlier on after a Typical mess up, which is not typical of him. But stage win to Typical, second Death Before Dishonor. Hollywood going to come by in third, with Bad Martin finishing fourth. And I think Shepard round up the top 5 there. Yeah, Shepard in their 48 car. And that was stage number 1 here in the last race of the round of 8. We'll see who of the Ruthless 8. Only 6 move on next week to Talladega, where anyone can win, where one of those fringe drivers could just absolutely lock in one of the 4 spots for a chance to win the Ruthless Championship. The most ruthless of them all will win at Miami later on this season. And I guess Anxious Shetty wrecked. But this stage break brought to you by SKU-Car. Check out the description for a humble bundle offer. Holidays are coming up. Get that special someone something to put on their gaming system. Or tickets to the next big event that you can think of on SeatGeek with code SKU-Car at checkout for $20 off your first purchase. And as always, thanks to you, the fans who are watching, all 15 of you right now, as it is much appreciated. And if you haven't liked, please like, subscribe. And I do not know how they were scrubbing their tires there. I've never seen that before. But nonetheless, there it is. Typical on the pole once again. Death Before Dishonor starting right next to him. Hollywood in third, with Bad Martin in fourth. Shepard's going to retain 5th position, with Dan the Man in 6th. And the rest of the field figures out itself. A lot of guys already jumping down to the inside. Outside looking good for the moment. Up front. And we get kind of pinched back there in the back door to door from Bad Martin back. And that's going to allow Death Before Dishonor and Typical as we're going to go off the back of the car views here for a little bit. That's 22 laps here in stage number 2 out of this 80 lap race. And we have finished 26 or 46 laps at the end of this stage. And we did start a little earlier this evening to try to get this race over with a little earlier for not only the drivers but you all the fans. We understand that once you get to a certain point in the night, you just have to go. Thanks Empire Gaming for hitting the bell. Much appreciated. We're just going to cycle through the field and watch everybody race a little bit. As you can see, a good line up there. It is about the top 7 at the moment. G-Dog looking out from 8th position. And there is 2nd position right there, Death Before Dishonor. And that is the order in which they finished in stage number 1. Big move to the inside for the 5. And he has the momentum going by. 3 is going to let out a little bit to give him the room for it. And he's going to not stick it as well as he had hoped. But, a little bit of a wiggle. But it's going to allow Typical to possibly jump back out here to that lead that he had just moments ago. Hollywood not trying to get out of this race this time like he did in stage number 1, though. He is hoping to be right there for it this time. And pit stop will also take place in this stage. So could see a no tire stop here for these leaders this time, as they were able to do it the stage before on just the right sides. And I don't know, those right rears, you know, it's something you got to watch. And this turn one is starting to get a little tight for a couple of these guys. We've already seen this kind of taking place. And there's Shepard looking up there at the top four. Bad Martin, Hollywood, Death Before Dishonor, and Typical. It's Bob Drew. Glad to have him back in the field. There's Dan the Man looking in from 6th position right now. Trav Nation out here. Not sure if he is still on the lead lap. Anxious Yeti. He is one of those fighting against Trav Nation to see who can get in. As Jared will not be, did not make the race tonight, and will unfortunately, I believe, not make it to the round of 6. And as always, thanks to the fan, always stopping in and watching these streams. Not seen everything NASCAR this evening. The rare. As Typical gonna pit now. Real early pit. Don't know if he got that in though. Don't know if he stopped in time. If he possibly got a penalty there. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. As he can make it off of this pit. So we'll see how that works out for him. That allowed Death Before Dishonor to take the lead with quite a bit of a gap there. But those two guys could work together and definitely catch up behind him. It's Hollywood and Bad Martin. Try to catch him here. Typical did make it into the pits on time, or on speed rather. So he will take a 4-tire stop right now with full fuel and try to race him out to the end of the stage, and I think that's going to work out for him, as he was still looking really strong there on right sides only in the stage 1 green flag stop. So Typical kind of making a real early move here, but he, even though with fresh tires, he will be racing against the leaders, as you can see him coming out right now, as he'll be fighting to keep his lap. And that's going to prove big for Typical right there, keeping his lap and not having to pit for the remainder of this stage while everyone else will have to. He is certainly on pace to win this stage, barring any yellow flags. But right now, Death Before Dishonor is your leader, and everyone's going to have to pit, as there is 16 laps remaining here in stage number 2. 7 out of 22 laps have been completed, as we try to see who will move on to the Ruthless round of 6. As Hollywood and Typical are both locked in mathematically. Also, I would say, along with a couple other guys out in the field, just by starting the race or finishing a certain position in stage number 1, they are also going to make the round of 6. Basically, I think the only ones up for grab is Jared's position, 35 points above Yeti and Travis. So if Travis or Yeti, either one, gain 37 or 36 points, they will move on. But it can only be one of them. And I think it's possible that neither of them could make it. So we'll see how that works out. And I just want to say thank you to all of you out there. Let's see, Typical has maintained that lap. He's going to try to come back around and catch them before they pit. Take the lead back the hard way. As I believe this man does have it in him if he wanted to, though. But Death Before Dishonor at the moment up to a very strong lead. As you can see, second position back there behind him. But a good distance behind him. I'm going to try to catch a little more action out here, as this is around the top 5 here. That's Dan the Man Shepherd and Project 62. And Shepherd had an issue there coming out of turn number 2. Allowed Project 62 to go on up through there with Dan the Man. This is the Ruthless Racing Series playoffs. Ruthless A to Indianapolis. The last race of the round of 8. As you can see, more cars going in to take their pits. I believe Death Before Dishonor was one of those, along with Bad Martin. And you have everyone else still out here. As I believe you got Hollywood now leading this race. Typical is the only one that will not have to pit from here on out, other than who's already in the pits. But when he comes around, if they haven't beat him off of here, off pit road here, he's going to be the leader once everybody cycles through. And well, I'm interested to see how long Hollywood stretches it out here. He's known to stretch his runs out quite a bit, especially when everybody else is pitting. So it did work out for Typical and Death last stage, taking those right sides at the end of the stage on the pit stop. As you can excuse me for a moment, as I would like to take a drink. See Hollywood go in this time. And we'll see if anybody else decides to stay out. Nope, Dan the Man and Shepherd both decide to come down. And that was Typical right there. This Typical is going to start catching people eventually and be back in that top 5. Making some noise. As you can see, Bad Martin right here in front of him, and this is a battle for 6th position. So Typical will be most certainly on the more worn tire, but we'll see if that will matter on the time that he has saved. As you can see, he's battling fresher tires right now for position already, and he is not going around as easily as I would have imagined. So Typical is taking it to the inside here. He gets around Martin. Still 6th place from him. Typical and Martin actually up to 4th and 5th now after someone pit. Death Before Dishonor is in 2nd. Project 62 is the leader, but he is on pit road at the moment, getting that service. And the 5 of Death Before Dishonor has took the lead now. And he has quite the lead here, so pitting so early, not going to work out, I don't think. Another pit road incident for Anxious Yeti. Hint, brake whenever the line starts. In 4th gear, don't even shift. But Death Before Dishonor out here to a looking around like a 4.5 second lead or a 4-second lead, flirting between the two, and that's Hollywood that is behind them and the spread between second and fourth is much closer than the spread between first and second, as you can see it right there. NASCAR Fan 22 coming in. Thank you for joining in this evening. Glad you found us. Please hit the subscribe, like button if you haven't, and check out the description. And that goes for anybody. If you're interested, check out that description. This is stage number 2 from Indianapolis. This is the Ruthless 8, round of 8 playoffs. Death Before Dishonor is on a tear right now, as we're going to try to get back up here on Hollywood and watch. Typical is now back in second. Just took the lead from Hollywood going into turn number 1. And Typical finds himself 4.5 seconds off the bumper of that 5 who is leading so dominantly at the moment. As we'll get us an accurate lap count as we go by this time. But Death Before Dishonor certainly showing that his pit strategy is looking to work out, as long as Typical is not able to drastically change that spread. He has knocked off 0.4 of a second, so we'll see if he's able to get it done in the remaining laps. So we'll get you accurate count right here. As we got 6 remaining, so I believe Typical would be able to catch Death Before Dishonor here, depending on what kind of good years that Death decided to go with. Did he go with 2 or did he go with 4? So Hollywood not going to be catching Typical much. So we'll see how Typical fares up against this 5 car, as we'll watch and see how close he gets coming to the end of this stage with 5 to go now. In stage number 2. This is the Ruthless Racing series right here on the Ruthless Racing YouTube channel. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know who sent you a link this evening or how you found us. And let us know how you're enjoying the racing tonight. And who do you think's going to get that win? And do you think Trav Nation or Yeti Nation makes it into the round of 6? So we got Animal coming up. I got this. Boom shakalaka. Get screwed. Doing some bot killing. Appreciate it if anybody could bump the chat for me to get off the screen. It's much appreciated. I wonder if Skew Car is in here. Alright, so sorry about that, everybody. As we got the 2.5 second lead here for Death Before Dishonor now, and we got a couple cars getting into each other, but it was a lap car of Animal there getting possibly into Typical. And that did hurt. That did hurt Typical there, and that allowed the lead to go back out to 3 seconds, 3.5 seconds almost. As Typical looking to get loose back there. But Death Before Dishonor looking like he possibly is going to go. Jennifer Peters says she is from Trav Nation, so that's good. So Death Before Dishonor going around here. Looking to be the first time he's won a stage here in the Ruthless Racing Series. And he's got a 3.5 second lead. Typical, having a little issue there with that lapped car. And that caused him to lose a whole second there on what he was gaining on Death in that 5 car. So Death only got one more lap remaining this time. Typical wrecked back there in the back. Hollywood's going to move up to second position. So I'm not sure what happened to Typical back there. I can tell on the stream. As Death Before Dishonor will take the white flag for stage number 1 right now and try to get that first stage win here. Slow wrenched. Yeah. I got him quick. Oh wait, no, I was on my thing. Unfortunate. Well, anyways, you got him. Appreciate you. That's why we got you here. Death Before Dishonor, though, looking to get that stage win right here with one last go out of turn number 4 and stage number 2. And be Hollywood finishing second if he can hang on to it. Followed by Bad Martin, Typical in 4th, and Dan the Man rounding up the top 5. It's Bob Drew, got up to 6th position though. Stage winner, Death Before Dishonor. So we got a race right here. Bob Drew is racing for 6th position. Not much of a race between those other fellas, but we'll see how it works out right here. As you got Sticky Renthouse trying to get to the inside of him there. He's able to do so. There's a 4th place finish for Typical. And there we go. Right down to the line. Stage number 2 for a couple of these guys, but Bob Drew got the better of most of them. As Sticky Renthouse was a lap down car. So Death Before Dishonor getting that stage win. Stage number 2 followed by Hollywood, Bad Martin, Typical, and Dan the Man rounding up the top 5. It's Bob Drew, Shepherd, G-Dog, Trav Nation, and Anxious Yeti in the top 10 there. So Trav Nation looking to be ahead of Yeti at the moment. Not quite sure how this is working out. Damn inconvenient caution. There was a caution? I thought the stage had ended. But stage 3 definitely going to be interesting. Thanks for everybody who is watching. That was the end of stage number 2. Stage number 3 to decide who moves on to the Ruthless round of 6 for their chance at a Ruthless championship. But right now it will be Death Before Dishonor on the pole here in stage number 3. And he will have Hollywood out on the outside of him. And Bad Martin looking to push the issue on the inside. As we have 53 of 80 laps here in stage number 3. So good restart. Death Before Dishonor able to stretch it right back out there. And he's got Bad Martin working up behind him though. A lot of guys door to door right now. A little looseness there for Death Before Dishonor. As we're going to look right here at somebody in the middle of this pack. It's Bob Drew. We'll go off the nose of him as he is fitting and fighting here with this top 5. As he's going to have someone up to his inside here. Or sorry, the outside. But that's Hollywood who let out a little bit. So we got a good battle going on up here in this top 5. Restarts are always interesting. Most certainly will be a pit here in this stage, so we'll see how these drivers decide to split this stage. And a lot of bumper-to-bumper action right here. Bob Drew pushed up just a little bit by the 16. Oh, it's getting tight right here. We'll try to go to that overhead action and see what's happening, as it is tight right here. You can see we are in a 3-car debacle here. 21 Trav Nation sends it in hard, bumps up the 16 of Hollywood, who really don't need the points anyway. Trav battling for every single scrap he can get. So we'll see how Hollywood thinks of that later. Nonetheless, got some draft breaking going on up there by the 5. There's Trav Nations. We'll get him on screen for you all. He's driving that 21 FVP scheme. I've not quite seen that one a whole lot. It's a good little scheme there he's got going on. Thanks to everybody who has watched, stopped by, liked, and subscribed this evening. It all means a lot. As this stage seems to be a little closer than the others. Shepard gets a little bit of that Trav Nation. And here we come back around. Crossover by the 48. Zooms by the 21. Might have had a little bit of anger on it. Trav Nation and Yeti Nation right here, bumper to bumper, racing each other for their Ruthless Championship lives here in the Season 1 playoffs. And there's Travis in that 21 for all of you all in here for Trav Nation this evening. 3 wide coming down, and that's where Hollywood got his revenge on these two guys, as he put it 3 wide on them coming in between 3 and 4 there. And I don't think those guys like that very much, so we'll see what happens here. Anxious Yeti able to get the point advantage on Travis so far, and Hollywood backs out of it. These two guys, he knows they're racing for everything they got. G-Dog, do not think he is a part of the race, or the points race that is. And Trav Nation losing some spots here early on in stage number 3. Pit stops still looming though. That could change the course of anyone's race, as Anxious Yeti has not been good getting on and off pit road here this evening. So typical, we're going to try to jump back up here to where the leaders are. And you can see Typical trying to take the lead now from Death as they go into turn number 1. Able to clear him just in time to get back down into turn number 1 and ride this turn out. So there's Death losing the lead this time to Typical. Typical strong car all evening, but just had some issues there in stage number 2. But was your stage 1 winner, and looking at both stage winners right now there in first and second. Will it be one of them or somebody else at the end of this race? And who will it be that moves on to the Ruthless round of 6? Still got some good racing going on back here. This is a battle for 5th position, and it is a stout one. So you can see I'm almost split the 48 there. 34 to the outside, won't have the momentum. The 6 is going to clear. That is Bob Drew in the Wienermobile. And now they've all reversed positions here and back to a straight line. So good strong battle there between those fellas. And it's still hard fought there between Shepard and Dan the Man. There's Death Before Dishonor losing the bumper of Typical. Bad Martin getting tight coming out of that turn 2, and that is a tough turn as the car gets a little older in the run. sticking with this battle for, I guess we'll call it fourth position, and it's fourth through sixth there, battling it out. As we will get us a lap count as they go by this time, as I believe we'll be around 20 to go, with Typical leading. And I'd say we'll start seeing some pit stops here within the next 5 or so laps. And we're just watching this fourth through fifth battle, as we do have 20 laps remaining in the race. See how that points battle is working out. There's Trav Nation all by himself. That can't be good. There's Anxious Shetty also by himself, so I don't know how to think about it. Oh, it looks like he's in better position than Trav. Trav is back there behind him. So there's Anxious Shetty. At the moment, I do believe he does have the points advantage, depending on how stage number 1 worked out for these guys. You can see him get the wall there. Hollywood also back here in this pack. So we got someone down pit road now. Let's see who that is. Got Animal coming off pit road. Death Before Dishonor on pit road. So we'll see if that works out for him later on. As he should be able to make it to the end of this race. And still a good battle right here between these guys, as this is now third through fifth. You can see these guys have not give each other much of an inch all the way through. We'll get back up here to this as Death Before Dishonor leaving the pits. And there's Typical coming around to lap him, but he's not going to be able to get it done, I don't think. Typical still your leader. He's got Death Before Dishonor in front of him. This is a very similar situation that we saw in stage number 2 that Typical pulled off. I believe Typical probably would have caught Death, or at least made it interesting, had he not got caught up in some lap traffic there late in stage number 2. And Death is making sure that Typical does not gain any time on him as he tries to break that air away from him. And we'll see how long these guys wait to come in. That's still out there on the track with 17 laps remaining. Oh no, Typical loses the car a little bit out of 1, and that's going to be tough on him, as I don't believe it's going to hurt him much. Bob Drew is actually in second, but he is a full turn behind him. As you can see, him just now getting back out there on the backstretch. So Typical issue there. We'll see if he brings it to the pits this time. As we will go silent mic for just a moment. Apologize, I'm battling some kind of cold or something. Appreciate your patience. So here's Typical. Got Bad Martin in front of him, who has also pit. So Bad Martin trying to keep Typical behind him, as these guys will not have a whole lot of ground to make up on Typical once he decides to pit. But the fresher tires is where it's going to come into play. And see if these guys can maintain the pace enough to keep a lead or even get to the lead to pass Typical once he decides to pit. As I said, Bob Drew is in second position, but nearly a full turn behind him. As we'll go on board with the 6, as he's got Shepard there hard on his tail in third position. As this is kind of a battle we've been watching most of this stage. It did include Dan the Man there, who's just straggling just behind them, who had possibly a little issue with a wall or something during all this. Typical has finally decided to go down pit road, so guys will start gaining that time back up on them, especially those guys who were able to pit and not lose their lap. So that's real big for people at a track such as Indy that's so big. Got 14 laps remaining here in stage number 3, and to see who will move on to the Ruthless round of 6. And all that will take place starting at Talladega. Pitting cars here. Bob Drew is going to be pitting from the lead. And Typical is coming out in 6th position. So good battle up here for what is currently the lead. As they go down pit road, it'll be 13 laps remaining now. So these are your leader door to door coming down pit road for their service. So here we go. We got Anxious Yeti with a good pit this time. Trav Nation, it's all on his shoulders to see how this works out for him. So we got Anxious Yeti there. I think we got Death Before Dishonor, who probably will come around in the lead here. He does have the lead. Typical is going to be just behind him with those fresher tires. This is going to be interesting as got Typical just 2 seconds off of Death Before Dishonor. So here's where those tires are going to come into play, as Typical will have 4 fresh tires here, just put on 2 laps ago, and I just don't see it in the cards for him this evening unless something happens with the yellow flag. As the moment stands, there is 12 laps remaining and a 1.5 second lead for Death Before Dishonor, but Typical with fresher tires is coming with a full head of steam. Bad Martin will be in 3rd position, and then you got Hollywood and Shepard in 4th and 5th, who are quite a bit back there. So at the moment, Death holding on, but this lead is starting to get smaller and smaller as we're down to a second now. And there is Animal getting off the track. As you'll see, Typical will come by with 11 to go. He is closing in on the leader, Death Before Dishonor, who won stage number 2. And in this similar fashion, but I believe a little bit of lap traffic caused Typical to lose that stage. At the very least, Typical would have made it interesting there at the end of stage number 1. But this is your battle here with 11 to go. We'll be getting down into the wicking hours of racing with 10 to go once they hit the line. Very strong showing for a lot of these guys this evening here from Indianapolis. As I have noticed a good race out of everybody. As Typical, his gaining up there on Death Before Dishonor has slowed down a little bit. Death is now starting to try to break that air to keep Typical off of him. They do have 10 remaining, and the lead is still 1 second. Third is Bad Martin, just out of the frame when you see him coming around. More draft breaking there by the 5. That is what he's doing. He is making sure that the 3 cannot get some air off of his bumper to make him faster and pull closer, but the lead is now half a second with 9 remaining. And I do believe those fresher tires are going to prevail once Typical is able to get up here. As Death is going to try to protect the inside to have that inside preferred line come up to turn number 3, but he's just not going to have it in there, as Typical is able to get around on the outside and clear him and regain the lead, as he was your stage 1 winner. And Typical is possibly going to be your race winner here with 8 to go now. Typical already locked into the round of 6 along with Hollywood. So now really the race and fight is going to be between Anxious Yeti and Trav Nation. You can see Trav Nation right there, as he is now in turn number 1. Anxious Yeti right behind him. So it's quite the battle right here that we need to keep eye on. This is the battle for who gets the last spot, possibly, in the Ruthless round of 6. And tonight, a lot two racers here will end their dreams of being a Ruthless champion, and it could possibly be one of these 2 guys that you can see on your screen. It's all going to come down to who finishes it out ahead of the other, I do believe. Like I said, I do not know what stage 1 held for these 2 gentlemen, but they're racing like they need every single inch, and they do. So we do have 7 laps remaining in the race. Animal having issues, will not be able to get off the track. Typical has stretched that lead out quite a bit, and looking good here with 6 to go. He will be the one to catch, and then do not believe we have had a single caution tonight other than the stage breaks. So big round of applause to our guys there. It's Typical is just stretching this thing out, and we've got a battle here between Hollywood and Shepherd. I do believe this is 3rd and 4th position, or possibly 4th and 5th position. Typical still out there to a very large lead. And this battle between these 2 guys is getting even closer, as Trav or Yeti needs to finish ahead of the other. And here they are, door back to back, I guess you could say. So this is big for these guys right here, as we've got 3 remaining right now. And Typical is still out to that very large lead. This is the battle for a playoff spot right here to move on to the round of 6. We're going to stay on it with these guys. This is the battle to see who moves on. Trav Nation right now got the upper hand on Yeti Nation. Project 62 trying everything he can. It will come down to this, depending on what that stage 1 result was. A little bit of shakiness out of both of these cars as they come down through this time by, as they will have 2 to go at the line this time. Typical still out there to the lead. Death Before Dishonor in second. So we got 2 remaining. As here in Ruthless Racing Series, we do miss the last lap to allow for the winner to do a burnout, as he will have 1 to go once he hits the line this time. Trav Nation has stretched it out against Jetty here right now. There's only 1 lap remains. Oh, Trav Nation off to the inside. 17 starts wrecking it as well. It's going to cause the 64 to, or the 62 to go up and grab some wall. Trav Nation's season right there in the palm of his hand, and I believe he's going to lose it. Unfortunate. And that's going to be Typical, who's going to be your winner. As I'm not sure what happened. And that is unfortunate. Typical is going to be going by this time, and he's going to take the checkered flag and be your winner from Indianapolis. 2 races in a row for him. This Death Before Dishonor going to be in second. Unfortunately for Travis, this is going to be Anxious Yeti finishing, I believe, just a position ahead of him. And we'll see how that works out for these 2 guys. That's going to be very interesting to see how those points work out. As we'll get back up to Typical here, as he is your race winner. And like I said, these burnouts are really for our drivers, as we can't really see a whole lot going on. This is a tough track to even try to do a burnout at. But yeah, you know, in all of its glory. E3, E3, E3. Yeah, unfortunately for Travis, it could be very close. Not quite sure if he made it, but nonetheless, we'll find out whenever those points come through. Typical is your winner. He's going to try to do an actual burnout here. So that will finish the race right there. As you can see, everybody else coming in. That's Death Before Dishonor, Bad Martin, Shepard, Hollywood, It's Bob Drew, Dan the Man, Ricky Stenthouse, or was off the lead lap there. So, yeah. Typical is your winner. Death Before Dishonor in second. Bad Martin in third. Shepard in fourth. Hollywood in fifth. It's Bob Drew, Dan the Man, Anxious Yeti, Trav Nation, G-Dog rounding up the top 10. And it's going to be tight between Anxious Yeti and Trav Nation to see who made it in. Pit road cost Anxious Yeti, he says, but it's going to be close. It's going to be a very, very close decision there on who makes it in. And as always, we will have Typical and Bad Martin in the chat, as Death Before Dishonor does not have a mic. So, yeah, we'll get Typical and Bad Martin in here, ask them about it. We'll also add in Hollywood and see what the rest of this playoffs will hold and see if he has those points up in time to tell us who made it into the Ruthless round of 6. Did Trav Nation make it? Stick around to find out. Alright, as we wait for everybody to join us, Typical was your winner this evening here at Indy's, second race in a row in the playoffs, and just solidifies himself on into the round of 6. Bad Martin finishing third this evening, but some much needed points for his playoff battles. Bad Martin, so what did you think? Good racing out there, man. Tough hanging out in third there towards the end, but you were pretty consistent and hung it in there even through the pit stops. And so overall, what'd you think of the race? And do you feel like you were better than third, or third was a surprise, or right on the money?
Third was a surprise. I was the fourth place car pretty much all night. It was Hollywood and Typical, and Death Before Dishonor was all top of the field tonight. I knew my car needed some work, and I just didn't get the time to put the effort in. So I was better than them going into 1, but they were better coming off of 2 and 4. So they could. I had to check up a little bit to get rotation, and they could pull from me. So they definitely have the cars of the field tonight. Good win, Typical.
Yeah, it was certainly a good one to watch. Typical had a strong car. Thought he could have got it done there in stage 2 had it been not for some lap cars. But seen Shepard come in, decided to bring you in. You had a good race out there tonight. It was real strong. Good racing with Dan the Man. And who else was that you all were there with at the end of that
Drew.
race? Bob Drew. Yeah, that was some real good racing between you three there. And seemed like you came out on top amongst all of them. So walk us through how that was.
Pretty much, I've realized that we couldn't catch Typical, we couldn't catch Martin nor Death. So pretty much, we were talking a little bit back and forth of just trying to line up to make up as much time as we could and space out everybody behind us. And I was just floating back, letting them just go at it. And what helped me in stage 3, I just stayed out a little bit longer as I could just to make sure I was in the right position.
Yeah, it was a good, clean racing out there for everybody this evening. I felt like it was a real good race, a lot closer than I feel like was intended or expected even. But another win for Typical, and good race by you though, Shepard. Out there this
Appreciate
evening.
it.
Yeah, and
Yeah, good win, Typical.
Yeah, another win for Typical. Common voice here on the stream. So, Typical, let us know what could have happened differently there in stage 2, and you could have possibly swept this one.
Well, stage 1 is what made me pit early. In stage 2, I had a rough time coming out of pit road. on those tires. So I figured I'll just pit early, take those 4, and run down as much time as I can while they stayed on the track. And he did the smart thing to do and stayed out. I think he took none, maybe 2. It would have been close if I would have caught him or not. But the lap car finished that deal. So yeah, I don't know. I could have had a cleaner race. I hit the wall a bunch without having to. So glad to be back in victory lane though.
Well, that's good to hear. So now with the round of 6 coming up, and it's going to be Talladega, a track that could bring a winner from any crevice of the field. How do you think your chances are at winning the Ruthless Championship at the end of all this?
Talking to me.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I've got to see the points after this race between me and Hollywood. I mean, it's not over yet. Talladega is a wild card for anybody to win that, so he can catch me in no time off just one race. So we'll see.
It's the points will reset at Homestead, so that it'll be the final 4. Everybody has a chance.
Oh yeah, see, well, there you go. Everybody has a chance on the last
Well,
the last
the
race.
last 4 do. The last 4 have a chance.
So we'll see.
You know, we're all racing to have a shot, to be one of 4 with a shot to win the Ruthless Championship. Let's see who.
So.
All right, one moment.
Okay.
Okay, my stream's fixed now. All right, here's Hollywood with the Ruthless round of 6, who will be racing for a spot in the round of 4.
Okay, so the battle today was between Jared, Travis, and Yeti to be the final transfer spot. Jared raced at Atlanta, but he couldn't make this race, and Travis and Yeti missed Atlanta, but they raced here. So they needed to make up 35 points. Both of them did not get there. So Jared will transfer into the round of 6. The points reset, and you get all the bonus points that you accumulated during the regular season again. So the lineup would be, we're going to have Typical with 44, Hollywood with 24, Dan with 7, Martin with 2, and then Shepard and Jared would be below the cut line by 2 points because they didn't get any bonus points.
You don't get any bonus points added for this race?
And no, because in the playoffs, all the points count as.
I got you.
So like the bonus points, I'm adding them. The only bonus point you get in the playoffs would be technically for the pole, because I'm giving everybody because that's not the one that's in the actual race. But all the points that are in the race are playoff points, so they get added during the round. But you don't carry over more points to the next round. Does that make sense? Like, you don't get 5 points for winning to the next round.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. That is your Ruthless round of 6. Congratulations to Jared on making it and not even racing. Good hard battle there between Trav Nation and Yeti to try to get into that transfer spot. Just not able to get enough points to get it done.
They were battling pretty hard right there.
That's true. We caught some of that action there at the end of that race, but
yeah.
Good race by everybody out there. Another win for Typical. Congratulations to him. Typical 30 on YouTube for the Ruthless Radio action. And shout out for the winner there. So go check him out on YouTube. And next week we take on Talladega, a wild card track for anybody. So we'll see if somebody down there on the below the cut line can make the championship for a chance to win the Ruthless Championship. But as always, thanks for all of you that have came out here, liked and subscribed and watched us tonight. We had pretty much over 12 or 13 people in here all night long. So awesome turnout for us here this evening. As always, thank you all and have a great and wonderful weekend. Catch you next week.